This chapter of Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest took us by surprise like a baseball bat to the shin. But instead of immeasurable pain, it brought us joy and excitement. Because on my family's name, Mashima and Ueda cooked. Mashima once again pulled the unexpected out of his buns, surprising all of us, like a nuclear bomb 4 in the morning. I don't know how this man keeps doing this. Maybe those few extra hours of sleep he's getting after only working on 2 mangas instead of 3 affected his brain in some weird ways. But one thing is certain, he is cooking. Most of the chapter is essentially a fight between Midnight and Zero, with the two for the most part being equally matched, with them essentially playing who can take a punch better. But this is when Midnight just pulls out the unexpected, that being Dark Rondo enchanted into his fists. With this making Midnight the 5th named character we know of, not including the dragons, who can use enchantment magic. And the way he used it is insane. He basically enchanted Dark Rondo straight into his own body, allowing him to use the spell in hand-to-hand combat, mimicking Natsu's fighting style. But it's just so cool. Some people might not understand what the point of this is, as he can use Dark Rondo normally, so why enchant a spell into yourself when you already can use it? Whoever enchanting this spell into his fist directly essentially reduces the amount of efforts he has to put into controlling the spell, allowing him to put more focus on other parts of the fight, like hand-to-hand combat. Plus, with the combination of his own striking strength, he essentially increased the damage output of his attacks, but is clearly visible from Zero sliding back just from a single strike, so it has its own benefits compared to just using it regularly. Midnight using enchantment magic is such an awesome moment. I wonder if he learned it on his own or Wendy teach him like she did Erza. If he learned it from Wendy, I'm gonna be so happy. That would mean Wendy is just going around teaching people enchantments. She's just randomly giving people the most broken magic in the story like it is some candy. That would be such a super sweet character development moment, because when we got introduced to Wendy, she was so helpless. Jalal had to tell her she can use offensive magic, but now she is the one teaching others. My pumpkin groans so much. Unfortunately, using Dark Rondo alone isn't enough to beat a beast like Zero, as he just ate that spell twice with just few scratches, then proceeded to use Genesis Zero again, Robin spamming the same move like it is a fighting game. And in the same way your brother beats your ass in Smash Bros for abusing the same move, Midnight pulls an instant counter on Zero, punishing him for spamming, with pulling out a brand new spell we never seen before, Completion Infinity. What is the polar opposite of Genesis Zero, both in name and power? While Genesis Zero is a spell that drags you to the darkness using the power of the dead, erasing your very existence, Completion Infinity is a purification spell with the power to send the dead back to the afterlife, giving them salvation and dispel Genesis Zero. It is like if the spell would have been specifically designed to counter Zero, or at least those people who use the same magic he does. The spell is also effective on Zero, not just on his magic, as Zero is already dead and a demon on top of that, so a purification magic of this caliber gonna hit him like a train. But all that was for nothing. Zero, to save himself, switched to his brain alter ego, and using the combination of Archive Magic and Jujushiki, well, I butchered that, eliminates Midnight's magic with ease, then proceeds to switch back to Zero and folderize Midnight in a single strike. All that talk about beating Zero and all, just to get folded. The plot twist that Zero can just switch back and forth between his personalities is insane. This makes him at least 3 times scarier than he is already. brain is like amongst the top 10 smartest people in the story. He's like an evil scientist but with magic. He's nearly on the same level as Hades when it comes to knowledge and understanding of magic. While Zero is an outright beast who went toe-to-toe with Dragon Force Natsu. The two actually working together, unlike the last time, makes Zero an incredibly formidable opponent. I'm not really happy about Midnight being defeated. All that talk and build up in the past chapters about the Seis finally getting their payback on Zero led us to a massive disappointment. Like Midnight even pulled out 2 new moves and still failed to secure a win. Like the fight between the two was outright the best of all of the Seis fight in this arc. Not even a question. But him losing after all that build up is just a massive letdown. All that build up and investment into the character and its development just got wasted. If he truly out, this is a massive Mashima fumble. What I would have said if Mashima wouldn't have pulled out the unexpected again with Gajeel manifesting from thin air and putting him against Zero, creating the most unexpected matchups of all time. All that disappointment in Fraud Midnight gone. Just like that. This is like if someone would have punched you in the face in the street unexpectedly, then they push a bag of 1 meal in your hands. Nobody expected this, and I can tell you how freaking big this matchup is. This is the biggest Natsu hater of history contra the biggest Natsu hater of today. I can imagine Zero mentioning Natsu mid-fight, but gonna send Gajeel into a primal rage for being compared to him again, and beat his ass out of sheer spite. He gonna beat the fear of God into him the moment he hears Natsu's name leaving his mouth. The two biggest Natsu haters will beat each other up over who hates him more. I can kinda imagine this fight going like something like this. If you would have told me 10 years ago that this fight gonna happen, I would have laughed in your face thinking you went crazy or something. But look at it now. This fight gonna be peak. Absolute freaking cinema. Now I also would like to point out that Gajeel has no counter against Genesis Zero, unlike Natsu, who could just burn it. So we might gonna see Gajeel pull out some new power, like a blade what cuts through space, his shadow moving between dimensions, or him just eating the spell, because it is a darkness type spell. But all will go really hard. Also, Gajeel's new character design is hands down the peak of designs. Ueda made another masterpiece, and that evil grin on his face, oh boy, we so back. He's just radiating with aura. I bet he trained his ass off just to make up for the loss he got from God Serena. You just know he's surging with ready to use power the moment he pulled up with that grin. Also, Zero recognized Gajeel as a Phantom Lord member, what implies that he knew or met him during his time in the Phantom Lord Guild. Juvia said that back in Phantom Lord, they crushed a bunch of dark guilds under the Seis, so he probably recognized him from there, what would be a really neat callback. But I also could see that Phantom Lord might have some shady connections to the ex-Horation Seis, and they just used Gajeel and Juvia to clean up unwanted dark guilds. This would explain so much. Josdy was shady as hell, and his magic similar to Zero's, so I can see a connection there even by blood. Maybe even a reason why Makarov didn't send Gajeel and Juvia out during the Nirvana arc, as he didn't trust them enough yet over possible connections. But in either case, be about to find out soon, with Gajeel now in action facing Zero. But he isn't the only one who pulled up. Mira the Demon Jane is also present, and oh boy, it has been more than 8 years since we last seen her in proper fight. She didn't receive a proper fight since Alvarez War. only cramps during Alderon arc, and now she's about to go all out against the most broken Zex member. Daimon vs Mira is a fire matchup. Mashima just cooked with these matchups this chapter. Like, I would have loved to see Angel stand up and defeat Daimon on her own with Stardress or some other power-up, but damn, this is kinda better, I ain't gonna lie. No offense girl, I like you and all, you even my wallpaper, but Mira is Mira, you can't compete with Mira. Any Mira moment is just an instant peak. I saw the way Daimon called Mira fluffy girl is killing me. She gonna learn the hard way about the hierarchy of hell. She about to experience the difference between a demon and Satan herself. Also, this would be a peak opportunity to bring this awesome concept into reality. Or maybe some other Tartarus demon forms, like Kyoka for example. But if you thought this chapter couldn't get any more exciting with plot twist, Mashima was like, check this out! Gate released Meredy from his portal, revealing both that Meredy is still alive, surprise surprise, and that his power works by draining the life energy of his targets. It also appears that while in the portal, he doesn't know if his targets are dead yet or not, and entirely bases his timing on instinct, what is a nice little detail and nerf for a pretty strong power. And this is when Juvia enters the scene saving Meredy. That's right, we didn't just got Gajeel and Mira this chapter, but Juvia as well. I'm telling you, Mashima is cooking this arc. His brain works extra shifts ever since he ended Eden Zero, just from few hours of extra sleep. Juvia looks so pretty here. She looks like a diva who stepped out of a fashion magazine. Ueda deserves all the respect, man, because this design is just peak. But we already knew that Juvia is coming this arc, or at least some of us did. Mashima snitched on Twitter. Kinda killed the element of surprise in my opinion, because we knew that she gonna arrive anytime, but definitely not the hype, as we didn't see Juvia in proper action since Tartarus. We went for a decade without a Juvia solo fight. So she being here is more than exciting even if we knew that she is coming. Being able to see her shine again in a 1v1 is just... I can't describe this feeling inside. It is just exciting, amazing, peak hype. It is just great. We've been asking for this for so long. I just can't wait to see her shine again. Anyway, her new design is just beautiful, straight out of Sorcerer Weekly. All three of them this chapter had some amazing new designs. Oh yeah, Elfman is also here. Anyway, Juvia doesn't give an explanation on how did they get here, especially this fast, as the two continents are like week apart on boat alone. So either Mashima ignored the travel time because they not, or Juvia learned Aqua Era and just teleported here, bringing backup. What could explain her and Mira's outfit, what looks like something straight out of a photoshoot. I would love if that would be the case, as it would be a nice callback to her relationship to Toka and fairies, and a nice way to keep the spell relevant after 100-year quest. But I also see the possibility that Selene broke them here, as we know, she can just teleport people. But in either case, we about to find out in the next chapter. Or chapters. Explaining things isn't Mashima's strongest side after all. This chapter was just amazing. From Zero vs Midnight to Gajeel and the rest of the gang pulling up, Mashima and Ueda were once again dropping banger pages. This chapter was a roller coaster of emotions. Most of the sales getting packed up was definitely a disappointment. All that build up just for them to never get a proper win in the story. They got wasted. But Mashima pulling out Fairy Tail Team B, was more than a great compensation. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comment section below. This was Space G. Don't forget to subscribe and see you guys in space. Bye!